Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fantastic Friday edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. I'm Rick, holding it down here in Columbia, and joined today by the ladies. We have Ella, we've got Jill, we've got Brownyn. So great to see all of you, and we're going to continue the egg dog saga. For those of you who have been following along with us, Carmine Jamay, our distinguished colleague, he's vacationing in Ireland, supposed to be having a good time, but he's a little, I guess his feelings are a little bit hurt because we're making fun of a sandwich that he devised when we were at the Masters last week, because a lot of people talk about a habit I have of putting my pimento cheese on chicken, which is great. And so Carmine decided he would put egg salad on a hot dog, and you saw the video of it. It looks pretty gross. I think Carmine was the only one who tried that. And so he's had two responses from Ireland. We saw the first one yesterday, and here's number two. So, producer Dick, roll that video.
Greetings from Dublin, Ireland once again, where my main concern should be trying to figure out how to operate the car behind me, which has the steering wheel on the right side of the car and me driving on the left side of the car for the first time ever. But now my main concern is once again dealing with this egg dog extravaganza, because I got a text late last night from a competitor in our Greenville market that said Rick Henry is absolutely, quote, roasting you right now, and he's never heard a grown man cackle with the laughter to the degree that he heard Rick Henry cackling with on Palmetto Sports Daily. So I want to put out a second response, very similar to UConn coach Gino Auriemma, but this time instead of mentioning Don Staley by name, I'm going to mention Rick Henry by name, because before the egg dog situation came about with me slapping the egg salad sandwich on top of the hot dog in the Masters media room, Rick Henry was going on a rant talking about how people in my generation are afraid to be themselves, express their creativity, their uniqueness, and merely try to copy others on social media. So I took that. I was inspired by a mentor and a legend of our industry in Rick Henry to do that by combining the egg with the dog. And here he is dogging me for doing exactly what he said younger people of my generation should do: express themselves, show that creativity. And here I am on my Dublin, Ireland vacation, trying to keep my mother and girlfriend safe by figuring out how to drive on the left side of the road while I'm driving in the right side of the car. And instead, I'm being alarmed, much like I'm hearing in the background, about this egg dog extravaganza continuing to happen. So I hope this lays everything to rest. And unfortunately, this may be exactly what will make up for the unexplainable act of me creating the egg dog. So if I need to check in once again, I will. I hope I don't. And I'll see you guys stateside very soon.
Oh, there's so much to unwrap here. First of all, I'm a little concerned about his mother and his girlfriend, him trying to figure out how to drive there in Ireland. And I hope he's not trying to eat one of his egg dog sandwiches while he's attempting this, or else we could really have a catastrophe on our hands. But I want to ask you, ladies, does it sound like he's blaming me for his little situation here? Is he blaming me? Now, he shared the story about how I was going off on a rant. I don't know if it was a rant, but it's an observation of mine that younger folks now, growing up in this age of social media, they let what they see, what they hear on social media, let them form their own opinions of what kind of people they should be, okay? How they should feel about things, how they should dress, how they should look. And I wasn't necessarily addressing Carmine. I mean, look, he's a grown man, and his response is to go out and put egg salad on a wiener. I'm sorry, that wasn't the aim of my little rant. But if that's the way he's taking it, then I just don't know what to say about Carmine. Ella?
I just don't even really know what to say about that at all. I would first like to address the fact that I have lost sleep the past 2 days over the fact that we haven't discussed that he didn't put the egg salad on a hot dog bun. Like, it's the fact that he put the wiener on white mountain bread. Like, that really put me over the edge. However, that's my observation that we want to discuss. But going back to the beef between the two of you, Rick, I think that our discussion of the egg dog is primarily around the egg dog itself. It's not about Carmine as a person. I love that he's being himself authentically. It's excellent. However, the
Excellent.
How many puns?
The
can one
egg
do
dog
in
itself. I don't know. I'm ecstatic about all the puns that are available for me right now. But I think this is about the egg dog itself. It's not about the character of Carmine. Bronwyn, what do you think?
I personally feel the egg dog is a monstrosity. I feel like it should have never been born. I just learned about it. I've been out of the loop of the egg dog saga. I just learned about it, I kid you not, 15 minutes ago. And as soon as I heard it, I wanted to jump off a bridge. So I feel, I agree with Rick. I think it's not about him being authentic. It feels like he kind of made the egg dog to kind of spite Rick, because he had that in the back of his mind. That was his immediate response, was to come back at Rick with what he said. I don't know.
I don't know. I just feel like to go from saying be authentic to then jump all the way to putting egg salad on a hot dog is completely a skip, jump,
It's
and
a long
leap.
jump.
And I don't think you could be blamed for the interpretation of that, if you will.
Hey, look. Everyone knows how I love to go at Carmine, and I think Carmine really enjoys it. I mean, look at all the time he's spending on his vacation responding to us. And if we go back to the first video, is he traveling with a photographer? When he walked out of the pub, there's the camera is focused on him. He's really putting a lot of thought and planning into it. But I'm rather enjoying it. And I can't wait to see what his next response will be. And he's supposed to be back with us on Wednesday? Unless the folks in Ireland decided they've had enough of him and push him out of there in the next 24 hours. Okay, that's going to do it. That's enough for the egg dog controversy. We're going to take a break, and we'll get back to talking sports here on Palmetto Sports Daily.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily, and from the Egg Dog Gate to the Egg Harbor native, we will be talking about pitcher Cam Fluke from Coastal Carolina. He will be making his triumphant return after being out for a majority of the season. When I say majority, he was involved in that beginning series with Fairfield. He pitched a little bit, but was out after that after a minor strain from his rib. It was announced yesterday that he will be making his return sometime next week. It's not clear what game that will be in, but this is a big, big deal for Coastal Carolina, as he is their #1 draft prospect on this team. But as that was announced, it was also announced that reliever Hayden Johnson will not be making his return. Here is what head coach Kevin Schnall had to say about that decision.
Arm wasn't reacting the right way. He was still having some issues with it. When he got on the mound for the first time, he will get surgery. The plan is on the 30th. We'll get surgery on the 30th. At that point, I mean, it looks like, I think it's a 4-month recovery. The goal is to have him back wearing, teal and black next year.
As of now, this hasn't had a major impact. We've had some good relievers so far. Ryan Lynch has stepped up in a big way for Coastal Carolina, but it wouldn't hurt to have someone who put up a 2.81 ERA against LSU during that College World Series last season, and also add in a left-handed closer to your bullpen. Ella, I'm not sure if you have any strong opinions on this injury and Cam Fluke's return.
Yeah, I mean, just taking a look at Cam Fluke's stat sheet, obviously the first thing that I noticed is that he is from Egg Harbor, just such a fitting location for the theme of this here episode of Palmetto Sports Daily. However, I mean, looking at his stats and his honors, I see the word All-American over and over and over again. You see preseason pitcher of the year in the Sun Belt. I mean, this is the guy that you want to have on the mound. So very, very exciting for them. I mean, they are already such an incredible team. I actually was able to witness that Wake Forest game that they had just a couple days ago, and it seems like they're such a strong team. I believe they're in the top 10 in the country, so I can't imagine what having him back is going to do for them, Jill.
Yeah, they were very injury plagued at the beginning of the season, and they're just getting him back now, and we'll see how this really rings in through the rest of the season. And they also lost Dominic Carbone, one of their other leading pitchers at the beginning of the season. So once again, I can't state this enough, being, I believe they're 7th right now in the country, 7th or 11th. They went up and down a little bit, but without him, this will be a big game changer in the beginning, in the middle of this season so far. And we will go to break and talk some more on Palmetto Sports Daily.
Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. Moving on to some basketball talk here. The Hornets have a historic night ahead of them tonight after an unbelievable game this past Tuesday where they won in overtime, punching their ticket into this final round of the play-in. They now have the opportunity to make the playoffs for the first time in nearly a decade. A huge moment for them, and they're going to be facing the Orlando Magic. Now, if you've been following along with the NBA, you know that this is definitely the best ideal case scenario for them. As producer Nick just told us, the Magic has been a little stinky, like egg salad recently. So this could be their opportunity to finally bust down that door and break through. Here is Coach Charles Lee on how he thinks this team can do that.
Message, mindset is to, I think, take the confidence of winning the last game, understanding that we are built for this moment. We have earned this moment, but on every possession, this is all we're guaranteed is this one game, this possession right here in front of us, and it needs all of our focus, it needs all of our competitiveness and togetherness that it requires. And so I look forward to our guys rising to the occasion today.
We really did see an example of that togetherness in that first game against the Heat on Tuesday. Con Knipple had an abnormally low-scoring game, but we saw guys like Kobe White really step up to the plate. LaMelo Ball obviously had a double-double, an unbelievable game for him. Rick, just what do you think needs to happen in this game against the Magic? It's a little bit of a different vibe than the Heat. I think they're going to have to look at things a little differently and play a little differently, but like Coach Lee said, using that game against the Heat to kind of fuel their fire.
Well, when you look at the this game on paper, when you look at the records, Orlando is 45-37, Charlotte 44-38. That's a one-game difference. But Charlotte has won the regular season series against them 3-1, and they've won the last three by an average of over 20 points. And a lot of that is because of Charlotte's ability to hit three-pointers. They have three guys who have hit over 200 three-pointers, and so that's a big weapon. You mentioned Knipple having an off game. He needs to be on, and then everyone else playing up to their expectations. LaMelo Ball, he's coming off a pretty good scoring game against Miami. And you've got Brandon Miller, who can score inside, outside. So just continue to play like they have down the stretch. I believe they won 18 of their last 25 games. So one of the hottest teams in the league. And I've got to go with Charlotte pulling it out and grabbing that number 8 seed.
Yeah, just a couple, I love my stats. I got to bring them in. But just a couple of interesting ones. Starting center Musa Abate. I probably butchered that name. He's been listed questionable for tonight on the injury report. He has some hip soreness. And you did mention, Rick, those 3 wins that they had. But I will say, Franz Wagner, he's available tonight for the Magic. He didn't play in any of those 3 losses that they had to Charlotte. Had 21 points, okay, in their early season win against the Hornets. You've been saying that as the stats show that, the wins have been at an average of over 20 points. I'm interested to see if his presence makes a big difference tonight.
Yeah, I think the Hornets can be very dangerous in transition if they can speed up the Magic a little bit. I also like Melo Ball when he's following through some of that foul trouble. We saw that last game, and I'd like to see that more from him. And I said this yesterday as well. I don't want to see any shenanigans. No shenanigans. I think the refs are going to be on the lookout after last game and missing that call. So just make sure we're playing a clean game in this one tonight.
Yeah, that was a little bit of an interesting day yesterday, finding out about that fine on LaMelo Ball. We'll be curious to kind of see how his morale is after that, knowing him in those press conferences I've sat in with him. I don't think he'll be sweating it too much. I think he's such a competitor and will be ready to go and just be an expert in that transition, like you said, Jill. We're going to send it to break here now, but we'll be right back after this. Welcome back into Palmetto Sports Daily. A huge day last night here in the upstate, and honestly, for the entire state. Last night, myself and Palmetto Sports anchor Caroline Soro headed over to Hartness Hotel, where the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame induction took place for the 2025 class. Now, if you take a look at this video right here, you can see some of those inductees. There were 5 of them. And let me tell you about a few of the people you're seeing on your screen here. Jerry Butler, a local from Ware Shoals here in the upstate, Clemson All-American, and Buffalo Bills Offensive Rookie of the Year is part of that list. Dexter Coakley from the Low Country, 3-time SoCon All-American at App State, and 3-time Pro Bowler with the Dallas Cowboys. AJ Green, a unanimous All-American and SEC Freshman of the Year for the Georgia Bulldogs, also from the Low Country in Somerville, with an unbelievable NFL career. He had a 1,000-yard season in 6 of his first 7 years in the league, and this list just goes on. A legacy inductee, Bob Jeter, who won Super Bowl I and II under the legend Vince Lombardi, and then Todd Ellis, the voice of the Gamecocks for over 20 years after quarterbacking his way into the South Carolina record books, throwing for over 9,000 yards, and he set more than 20 program records. And you heard it, 1 Gamecock, 1 Tiger, and we spoke one-on-one with both of them. So here's what they had to say about that honor.
So now to be recognized for the football that I finished 37 years ago, guys. That's ridiculous. I know I don't look that, but to finish that 37 years ago and then having an organization like this recognize me is quite the honor. I've been blessed with a lot of things in my life, and football's gotten me a lot of that.
It really means the most that I can represent my family, my heritage, and my community. And my siblings. I had the greatest team. And when you have a great team of siblings and community, I think you can accomplish a lot of things. I'm just so honored to be able to represent that tonight.
And it was such an honor to cover that last night and talk with all of these incredible people, incredible athletes, and just what an opportunity. All of these players have had incredible careers, but they also just seem to be such incredible people as well. We also gave a couple awards out as well. Sammy Brown received one, as well as Shane Beamer's wife, Emily Beamer, as the Humanitarian of the Year. Super fun stuff, very exciting. Now, Rick, I do kind of want to ask you, I know you know Todd pretty well, just to see him enter this Hall of Fame. As a friend of yours, how great is that to see?
It's really great for Todd. Very happy for him. As a matter of fact, I covered his entire career with the Gamecocks. I remember talking to him his very first season. He redshirted that year, but when I talked to him during media day, he was very poised and seemed wise beyond his years, and he really had some pretty good seasons with South Carolina. Had a couple of 8-win seasons, and at that point Carolina had very few seasons of 8 wins or more. So, yeah, he's definitely earned a place in Gamecock lore. So, congratulations to Todd and all of the inductees. Now, speaking of Gamecock football, head coach Shane Beamer has had a busy April. He was in Phoenix for the women's Final Four, saw him down at the Masters, and of course, he's wrapped up spring practice. Now, they didn't have a spring game because of construction at Williams-Brice Stadium. Here you see some video of Shane attending past Gamecock club meetings during the spring, and after coming off a 4-8 season, he knows he'll get some good questions, some bad ones. Heck, he says he even gets some tough questions when he's at home.
We were walking around the Masters Sunday, and like I said, there were tons of Gamecock fans that were coming up and were very, 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 very nice. And my son was with me, and he stopped me, and he's like, do they know you went 4-8 last season? So I don't think there's any question that I'm going to get at a Gamecock club that's going to be any harder than what I get at home. We're all disappointed about last season, nobody more so than myself. But everyone that I saw this past week, and I'm sure there were people that didn't speak that were cussing me as I walked by and calling me a bum. I get it. That's just the job I signed up for. But everyone that we saw in Augusta and anyone that I've come in contact with really since the end of last season has been nothing but amazing and positive. And I love the passion of our fans. That's why I can't wait to get out to some of these Gamecock Club events and see and feel and hear their passion. And I'd rather coach at a place where you have passionate fans that ask you hard questions and whatnot than a place where they don't care.
Yeah, and Shane's son Hunter is one of his toughest critics, so he may be glad to get out on the road a little bit, and maybe even the tough questions he gets from Gamecock fans won't hurt as much as the ones he gets from his own son. All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. Everyone have a great weekend.